Akelo Misori is the Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers. He is here now in the studio. Good morning, Akelo.
Good morning, sir.
Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
Umechelewa wapi ndugu? Class begins at 9. Can you go back out there and come frog marching into class?
No, but we are living in an environment where there are capacity issues related to expressway is more complex than even the normal traffic routes. So at entry, we took nearly 30 minutes. At entry, you can see. So I left my place thinking that I would be taking 8 minutes to this place. And then I took more than 45 minutes. So that's what has happened. I'm very sorry for this. And,
Karibu nonetheless.
Yeah.
It's good to see you.
It's a class tuition, and the learners could not have learned anything today. They could have just said, Odijo is late.
Yeah, Odijo mechelewa tuende out.
Yes.
Now, Akelo, yesterday you addressed the country on the issue of JSS and the JSS teachers. At least 17,800 intern teachers in junior secondary schools have not received their pay 3 months after the government deployed them. The TSC is reporting that only half of these teachers have been paid. The delayed payments were attributed to teachers arriving at their workstations later than expected, causing issues with salary processing. The teachers are part of the 35,550 new hires recruited by the government earlier this year to address teacher shortages and ensure smooth transition to the JSS. According to Nancy Masharia, the procedure is the recruits are given 30 days to report to their various stations, which leads to some commencing work later than others. She says this sometimes causes delays in processing of their salaries. So far, the commission has processed over 50% of those salaries. But then Akelo, Misori and KUPPET come out yesterday and say the government is not doing enough. KUPPET demands that JSS teachers be paid all their salary arrears before the beginning of the new school term next week, as well as be promptly paid for their time and expenses in the ongoing training for the new curriculum. The union calls upon the government to reflect and reconsider the place of JSS to avert inevitable collapse of the new CBC curriculum due to low infrastructural capacity in primary schools and unclear reporting channels where JSS teachers work under primary school head teachers. 2 issues. Those ones, the positioning of JSS and the payment of teachers. Now, let's begin with that, the very first obvious one, payment.
It is unfortunate that the CEO of the Teacher Service Commission is apologetic that the teachers are reported late. Remember, the JSS teachers were supposed to avert a crisis which was already there. Because there were no teachers totally in their place where they were domiciled in primary schools to address these challenges. The other issue which was there was basically the capacity gaps, because these are new teachers who are required to be inducted. But you realize that they are inducting them after a full term and they are not being paid. The challenges with these JSS teachers are not just limited to pay, because they use the pay to pay rent, to also get their daily requirements like food and so on. But the most critical one is that the teachers are also supposed to be covered under comprehensive medical cover. Unless you are reflected in the TAC payroll, the insurer cannot capture you, and therefore when they fall sick, they cannot be treated. So these are the challenges. In fact, this one came after observation made by our ground staff. We had a National Governing Council meeting on the eve of Labor Day, and they reported a very grave situation. But it was not only that. When I visited the Science and Engineering Fair in Kisumu the last week, the situation was even dire, that the teachers themselves had not been facilitated to present students for the fair itself. So those are the reasons for which we were giving the government ultimatum to at least address this issue before we open the school. That is there. Then on the other issue is about the positioning of the junior secondary school in primary school. I think this is something which, while presenting our paper before the Presidential Working Party on Education, we did indicate that it was going to be very, very functionally difficult to domicile this cohort of candidates or students in the primary school sector. First, there were the infrastructural issues because the junior secondary school was coming with a very comprehensive scientific and technological aspect of learning. Most of our primary schools have either nothing or limited of this stuff. And this is the mistake that was done. The teachers who are in primary schools had not been inducted to teach JSS in grade 7. They had been inducted to teach JSS,
to teach CBC.
CBC grade 1 up to grade 6.
Yeah.
Now, the last year before the JSS transition was to occur, secondary school senior teachers had been selected to undertake this program. The same Teacher Service Commission did not rationalize the staffing. They did not use that opportunity to ensure that the schools as they are were properly mapped so that the idea of capacity or having the teachers crisscrossing from secondary to primary, where the JSS is domiciled, would be possible. So those are the issues which we addressed. Yes, and that is the reason for which we are still insisting that for us to avert the collapse of this noble curriculum, it is never late. Mistakes have been done. But as Boutros Ghali once said, only fools do not change. We can as well look at this and just take them to high school, because this is our country.
Wait.
Yes.
So you're saying we take now grade 7s to secondary schools?
The first time that they have been there, very little has occurred.
Yeah.
Yeah, very little has occurred, and this is the foundation. This is the transition. You know, we are laying a base where the students will be selecting courses they are going to do in senior secondary school. And if the foundation is wrong, it is weak, then the objective of this curriculum is not going to be met in the long run.
I have to ask, when these decisions were being made to domicile JSS at primary level, and some of the other decisions then that came about, were the teachers' unions involved in that conversation, or was everybody just told, okay, this is where it's going to be, and that's it?
You remember when the president took up office, he itemized the quick fixes that he wanted to undertake.
Yeah. And
he appointed a presidential working party
yes.
to look into the noise which was there.
Yeah.
And finally, this is a democracy. And what happened is that opinion was sought. The unions put their weight in this matter. And that is what I'm saying. While the working party visited us and countrywide, we did indicate this, because with us we are teachers, we are taking part in the curriculum development, and therefore we knew very well that this is a secondary school curriculum, and with these attendant issues related to specific subject areas where teachers are best at. The primary school environment does not offer this. Already, the Minister for Education then, the late Professor Magoa, had moved and in 2 years established about 10,000 classrooms in the country. That is historic in the whole of this country. We have had schools getting grants and there are pockets. But this particular time, it was spread all over. We also have day secondary schools which are almost now in every village, which are already having a semblance of facilities which are supposed to administer or implement secondary school curriculum. This issue was not done. So finally, it was like an opinion poll that how many people want this thing to be domiciled in primary. And then
how many want it in secondary?
The results.
Then the president picked on this.
To the best of your knowledge.
So this is what has caused a mess.
How many stakeholders, Akelo, were for JSS to be in primary schools? KUPPET was not for that. Was KNUT for JSS to be in primary school?
KNUT was for JSS to be in primary school. But their interest was basically to have numbers.
For teachers.
Yeah, for teachers, and then to have capitation. You know, what is there is that when the primary JSS was domiciled there, then the primary school head teacher was going to be in charge.
Yeah.
And therefore would be getting more capitation. So their noise was louder on this aspect. But we looked at the scientific bit and the technical aspect of this curricula. And then we said, no, even if numbers are issues, we can talk about numbers later. Yeah, but in this, we cannot have this. By the way, I think the Spice had invited me and we talked about this.
Yep.
As teachers, we also know our capacities. There was an argument from our KNUT brothers and from everybody that we now have even professors in primary schools. All those with doctorates, masters, and so on. Granted, I don't dispute that fact. But in which specific areas are these professionals? You find that somebody has got a PhD in psychology, a PhD in education management, and so on, which is not a master's in physics or bachelor of education in mathematics or in chemistry or biology. So these are the issues. Our curriculum is so biased to, and it is oriented towards the direction which requires somebody with specific competencies in the key core subject areas like agriculture, ICT, chemistry, biology, and physics. So this is what was ignored. But another thing which many people do not want, because Kenya has moved this direction. Remember, there's another debate earlier which was said that we should even lower the entry grade for teachers going for teaching to be lower. And the Teacher Service Commission said no. We know very well, I as a teacher for over 25 years, I taught students, and anybody who has scored a C minus, one evident, if you carry out as research, you realize this person has not done well in mathematics, has not done well in physics or biology or chemistry. And our certification requires that first they take maths, they take English, they take Swahili, 2 sciences, and at least a humanity and a technical area. So when somebody scores a C minus, you realize that this person has marginally scored in these key subject areas. So those are the issues that, from where I sit, I analyze. I cannot, like for example, I'm a teacher of religious studies. Even if you take me to grade 7 now, I don't think I can teach the science, the integrated science that is in there in grade 7. What of somebody who did not even score a C minus in biology or physics or chemistry, and maybe he or she had a D in this subject area, and you know the training of primary school teachers is basically to nurture students. They are very good in bringing up learners from grade 1 to 4. The reason for which we have challenges in high schools, nobody has addressed. Why did we have over 522,000 out of the 881 scoring D plus and below?
And that's what happened.
And that is what happened.
Yep.
It is because the entry grades which take the students to high school from KCPE, there is a lot of weaknesses in the sciences and the mathematics, because from class 5, 6, 7, and 8, quite a number of teachers fear taking those subjects. So they just do because...
So the KCPE results already have weak performance in math and science-related subjects.
Yes.
And there's 100% transition.
Yes.
So many of the Form 1s then who get in there are already getting in there with a weak grade in math and sciences.
Yes.
It's like a predisposition. You are already predisposed towards not performing well, because the foundation was weak. So what do you think is going to happen when you go through the system?
So that is why we are saying that the real philosophy behind CBC is going to be defeated if we continue to massage our ego that majority wanted this curriculum to be implemented in primary school, and that primary school has the capacity to do it. Most of the schools which received JSS teachers also received those teachers who have humanities. That's the irony of it all. So the induction which is now going on is basically trying to find out how these students, this cohort of teachers are going to be integrated adequately in the JSS or secondary school curriculum. So these are the issues which are there.
I have to ask this question though. Are we saying that we train enough teachers in the sciences and yet we don't see them in schools? Or are we saying we have a problem even with the training of science teachers?
The latter. We have a problem with the training of teachers. The teachers training curriculum is very weak, and we must be very bold to say it is very weak. Like now, if you want somebody to go and teach all the subjects in primary school, and this person has been very weak in the core subject areas, then the curriculum ought to expand its mandate to incorporate aspects where the teacher is weak, so that by the time they are leaving to go and teach, they have already gained from where they are weak. And therefore, the time for training a teacher for 2 years has been a very weak way, because the stress is basically on methodology, and methodology of teaching somebody from grade 1 to 4, which of course, in my view, is perfect. Even when they are tested, teaching practice aspects, you find that nobody is being tested on teaching in class 5. The assessment is in grade 4. How do you handle grade 2, grade 1, grade 3, grade 4? That is the weakness. I remember, me have a background of training as a diploma teacher, and then finally as a graduate of Kenyatta University. One aspect which the diploma curriculum did not take for granted is that you are passed and you have gone to a college. What you are being taught is to expand the horizon. It is as if you failed at the high school. So you are being taken through the subject afresh.
Rigorous training.
A rigorous training afresh. So when we came out, I do think that, because I also went through the undergraduate program, I think that the training which was a diploma was perfect for a teacher. Yeah,
it was focused on improving your skill on teaching.
On teaching, and especially expanding your content. Yeah, if you're going to teach geography, for example, you are taught adequately that this is climate. So you go through that properly. Yes.
Let me ask this question. There was a need that was seen, and for that reason, steps were taken to create what was then the Kenya Science Teachers College. I recall around that same time, there was also the Kenya Technical Teachers College, the one which was in Gigiri. Now let's focus on the Kenyan Science. That's part of the University of Nairobi now. When we say that the training of teachers who are supposed to specialize in sciences has a bit of a weakness, what are we saying? That we don't have enough people who want to train as science teachers? Or that the very training of science teachers limits, because the numbers that they take in, not the numbers who want to be trained, is limited? Or is it that we have the numbers who are trained, but after they are trained, they do not end up as teachers? What are we saying?
I am not very comfortable with the university curriculum in preparation of professionals, for example. And I hope you see that even Kenya School of Law is there after you have attained your LLB. what happens if you want to train a teacher, you use the teaching methods of lecturers who are not basically teachers. They are lecturers.
The majority of them are actually not teachers. Right?
Somebody who talks to teachers or to students when facing the wall and is not facing the learners themselves. Because he says that I'm a lecturer, I'm not a teacher. So that is the beginning of the disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to prepare a teacher, you are engaged in an apprenticeship kind of. You must get the perfect beat, because this person is going to shape another human being. It is not somebody who is going to count money in the bank. It is somebody who is going to get somebody to understand something. So the training curriculum, especially when 844 was brought on board, the university curriculums did not change much. They did not change much. They still adopted their content, and they still use the same methodology they used prior to the coming of it for cohort of students. So in my view, I think there should be a rethinking, and there should be another way if we want to make great progress to get the best out of our schools in terms of the learners and in terms of the teachers that we have.
Akelo, oftentimes we hear that, space is being made for refresher courses before schools open. Teachers will then return to school maybe a week in advance to take courses having been assigned by the ministry. Are you saying that even with those refresher courses, or even with those training in order to deliver the curriculum, that they're not adequate?
Just to be exact, they are not adequate. One state of affairs, when I engaged somebody who is involved in curriculum development at KICD, did indicate to me and somebody from the ministry that the people who took over as facilitators did not know much of the same subject content. They were given modules to go and read to the students, to the teachers. That is not how to induct. The person who is carrying out the induction should be on top of things in terms of capacity, in terms of knowledge of the subject content, not somebody who has been given just a module to go and read. So prepared pamphlets being read, in fact, very little takes place in this induction courses. But it goes in record because people have earned allowances, and teachers have moved.
They filled the register.
They filled the register. Teachers have also complained that we have not paid, have been allowed for the day. So that is enough evidence that there was an induction. But whatever goes on in these places is not sufficient to address the core issues that we are talking about. That is a new curriculum that requires proper retooling of the teachers.
How long should it take? What's the best case scenario? If we were to say we have JSS now.
It should not be a one-stop issue like you are saying that we are having a court for 1 week. Let them go for 1 week. If the program was good, the example that I have seen which works well, to prepare a teacher in a country like Germany takes nearly 10 years. 10 years. That's when you come out to be a teacher. Because you teach normally and you are having a mentor. Then you go after your lessons are there in the morning. Then in the afternoon, you again visit the office where there is a review of how you did your work. It goes on for a long time. So when you say that you have inducted teachers, you have carried out proper retooling process, it is not just saying what we are saying.
Okay. Akelo, as this cohort of pupils was going through CBC, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, were the secondary school teachers being prepared to receive these children under the new curriculum? And if so, what kind of preparation were secondary school teachers going through?
In fact, everybody in the education sector, especially in schools, colleges, were undergoing the same. I did indicate earlier that secondary school teachers were already selected in preparation of receiving JSS junior secondary school cohort of grade 7. That one happened.
So they were selected.
They were selected.
But what kind of capacity building were they getting?
They were being introduced to the nature of the content they expect, the learners, and how the methodology is going to change in terms of curriculum delivery.
Take a case of any secondary school teacher today who's maybe teaching Form 1 and who until September, October last year was prepared to receive a grade 7 JSS student. What had they been taken through in preparation for this?
I've just indicated that they were taken through the content.
Okay.
The content, what they expect, and the expectation of the curriculum.
How long?
Like, for example,
how long had this taken place? Was it over 3 years, 4 years?
No, the training they had been taken to was basically from 3 days to 1 week. They did not take a month in the training.
So it was a 1 week,
yeah,
a 1 week sort of workshop.
It was just a workshop, yeah,
to prepare them to receive the grade 7s.
Grade 7, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
And you're saying that is more adequate than the 1 week that these new recruits are getting.
The difference here is that these are people who are already in class. They have got some kind of experience, hand-on experience dealing with students,
okay,
whether new or old, and they are already. It is only their mindset being shifted. But these new JSS students, teachers, are raw. Remember, there's another challenge.
They have never taught before.
They have never taught before. If they have been taught in college, they have only undergone what we call teaching practice. Now they are coming to a new environment where they are the bosses. I think they're reporting some of the issues. They are reporting to a head teacher in a primary school with that mindset that we are secondary school teachers and we are now reporting to this primary school. In fact, the problem in JSS in primary school is a very interesting thing. The uniform is different, and therefore the grade 7 feel they are superior to class 8. Which in principle is true because they are junior secondary, those are still in primary. I think that thing. So this is what has caused a lot of problem. That how do I report to somebody who is the head teacher of a primary school? By the way, let me just cause further laughter.
Yeah.
As a new teacher and trained teacher, I was posted to a secondary school. In not very far from my village, but that secondary school was also just been brought up by the primary school.
It had just been upgraded from primary
because the primary head teacher was the one who was manning both sectors because TSC had not recognized that they deserved to have the teachers required. But now we were there. After A levels, we are now told you go and teach here. We were operating in silos under one head teacher because we are reporting to him. He's the person who is writing the returns. But we feel that we should not even part and parcel of the staff of the primary school.
You need your own staff room.
We need our own staff room
because you're a secondary school.
We are a secondary school teacher. we need our own soccer pitch.
And at that point, you are just an intern.
Yeah.
And this teacher has been teaching
there
for long.
years.
Yes, I think so. It is a real chaos. So we are experimenting with a very dangerous strategy.
Akelo, just to go back to what you said earlier, you say that it's never too late. That as KUPPET, you recommend that we made a mistake. We wasted 3 months. Let's not waste another 6 months. Let's reopen this thing and take the JSS children who are now in primary school, take them to secondary school. Is that what you're saying?
That is the position I maintain. Because,
currently, these children, Akelo, just to remind you, currently, they are in primary school.
They are domiciled in primary school.
In grade 7.
In grade 7. That primary school does not have a laboratory. The secondary school, which is adjacent, has a laboratory.
Yeah.
The teachers who are up in the secondary school, some of them are even in excess. But the Teacher Service Commission has not done due diligence to harmonize how these teachers can also be utilized in the primary section. So we are just saying the logistic of transferring these students to the nearby secondary school is never too late, because already there is even a classroom which was built for them. Yes.
Are you not doing this just on behalf of your teachers, the same way KNUT did, so that your teachers who are in secondary school, your head teachers who are in secondary school, who are your members of KUPPET, get the capitation, so that you clearly do not have an argument with KNUT about membership? You clearly know that all the teachers who are teaching in this secondary school in JSS are fodder for you to recruit as KUPPET members. Is this not just you looking for the interest of your union?
I'm not looking at it from the interest of the union. I'm looking at it from as a professional. I'm also looking at it as a teacher with the practical experience of what is taking place on the ground, and also with the attendant issues which have also arisen as a result of this being domiciled in primary school. By the way, as a matter of just information, with me I also run a private school, and we were compelled to have junior secondary school. It has been hectic to engage the sufficient number of teachers to handle JSS. And therefore, to me, I feel as somebody who was interested in that business of running a school could have been more comfortable if these people have given me unsolicited mandate to run a junior secondary school, and therefore accepting the student. I know what it has cost me to build even a lab and a computer room for the JSS. I know what it is, and therefore that is why I'm saying that it would have been fairer that these people are just taken to secondary school. It is never too late. It is never too late, and it can easily sort out most of the problem, because the human resource issue requires that with the current establishment, we needed, besides the 17,000 you are talking about, we needed another 60,000 added to ensure that this JSS succeeds. Because this is 2023, we have got grade 7 in primary school. In 2024, we will be having a grade 8, and 2025 a grade 9 in primary school. As we talk, no school has established a laboratory in the junior secondary school. And the government did promise that they were going to build over 25,000 labs in our primary school. That is a feat which is not easily accomplished, especially with the current economic state that we are in. That we are still saying that even where they are, they have not been their competition for JSS has not reached many schools.
I mean, explain this logic to me, because I don't understand it. Why do you... Okay, building labs in primary schools, I can understand the need if you want to. But secondary schools tend to have labs. So why would you then seek to, unless I misunderstand this thing completely, why would you then seek to have a feat or expand a feat that need not go in that direction when the solution to what you want already exists? Because if you want to introduce someone to secondary school education, is it not simple logic that they should be in secondary school? An environment where the very thing that you're trying to inculcate is actually provided.
That is the broad understanding that I wanted everyone to understand. That already this is junior secondary school. It is not just by name. It is because of the subject content which is being taught. They are being prepared for specialized areas, like to do the sciences, to do the creative arts, to do sports and so on. Many of our schools in the primary do not have provisions for such. And therefore, if you're laying foundation for specialization, you start, the foundation is stronger. I think it is even in biblical that somebody who built his house or a house in sand, it was later blown by wind. It is different from somebody who built the house
On solid rock.
on a solid rock and so on. So we are talking about the facilities which exist, and which, of course, our honorable members of parliament have contributed. For example, I come from Homa Bay County, and I visited one of the sub-counties called Kabondo Kasipul. In 2019, the MP told me that, look, we have issues, the gap in laboratories. We have 48 secondary schools, but out of that, only 23 have labs. So our focus is to build the rest 25 laboratories in schools. And she started with the school where I went to, which had still just one laboratory from 1975. And now with the population of over 1,800. So she built about 4 laboratories at Wangapala Secondary School. That is encouraging. A similar aspect cannot happen in the primary school because we have more primary schools than we have secondary schools. We have got fewer transiting to secondary school, and they could easily be absorbed
in the secondary schools.
For example, maybe you also come from wards, from wherever. I hope you are not urbanites. But if you come from the rural wards, where there used to be just one secondary school, now there are about 8. Like my ward has now 12 secondary schools. So it means that the primary schools around can easily service those secondary schools.
They can service the secondary schools.
Yes.
Akelo, we thank you very much for coming. You'll come again soon before the schools open, as we see now this transition bringing all the confusion. Go gather your data, come, and let's speak to the nation.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.